Item our presidency project on President Gerald Ford. He was a Republican, which basically just means that he was in favor of tax cuts as well as private spending. He was very well known for being able to negotiate with both Democrats and Republicans and being able to work with both parties and not just the Republican Party. A philosophy that he claimed to have lived by both during his presidency and after was a moderate in domestic affairs, an internationalist in foreign affairs, and a conservative in fiscal policy. And a huge policy that he was in favor of during his presidency was the domestic policy. And that was basically just where he focused on a lot of issues within the United States and its borders instead of just foreign affairs. So he, more specifically, he was focused on the economy and trying just to rejuvenate it after the Watergate scandal. So to do that, he actually made a lot of tax cuts to get money flowing through businesses and through corporations. Political career before presidency, he was in the 5th Congressional District in 1948 and then went on to be in the House Appropriations Committee in 1951. That was basically just a committee that dealt with expenses within the government and bills and like where the money was going and where it was, the things that it was going towards. He was the chairman of the House Republican Conference in 1963, which was just a caucus for Republicans that met and had conferences and just discussed different bills. And they went on to tell the rest of the members of Congress what they talked about and things like their views. He was appointed by the Young Turks, which was a group of politicians, and they were mostly consisted of Congress members that were trying just to get new Republican members going into the Congress, trying to take over with Republicans instead of having the Democratic Party there dominating. He took over as vice president in 1973 after Spiro Agnew resigned. Political campaign on the way to the White House. So he took over for Nixon in 1974 and then ran for re-election in 1976. So his main slogan was, "He's making us proud again," which just refers to how Ford and how he was just able to bring up the economy after the fall of the Watergate scandal. And he's just saying that he's going to be able to do that again if he is reelected. So during the re-election, Ford's major opponent was Ronald Reagan, and he was the California governor. He actually won against him in the National Convention. However, he did lose against Democrat Jimmy Carter, who was the Georgia governor in the general election. Important events. In 1974, you have the Watergate scandal. That was just a political scandal where Nixon paid burglars to go into Democratic offices and just plant false evidence there to hopefully get them kicked out of the election. So later that year, Ford pardoned Nixon. However, he did receive a lot of backlash from both parties for doing so, which many argue was the cause for him not being reelected. In 1975, you had the Maine West was captured by the Cambodian Navy, and that was just a freighter ship that held 39 Americans was captured by Cambodians in an island over there. And so Ford sent in mariners to hopefully get them out. However, an accidental bomb went off, killing all the Americans. Though this was very devastating, it also showed that the United States is not going to deal with terrorism or threats, and we will put an end to that quickly. Lastly, you have the attempted assassination on President Ford, and that was just a girl, Leonette Fromm, who was from a cult, and she tried to assassinate him at the state capitol in California. However, she did fail to do so due to a round not being loaded into her gun. Controversies he faced and overcame. So he actually presided over the worst economic fall in history, and his major goals were just to master inflation, revive the economy, and solve energy shortages, and also was to pursue world peace. Presidential appointments. He appointed John Paul Stevens, Anthony Kennedy, and Jawan R. Torella. So John Paul Stevens, he was appointed to the Supreme Court. Anthony Kennedy was actually appointed to the Court of Appeals first, and then he later on was appointed to the Supreme Court as well. And Jawan R. Torella was appointed to the United States District for Court of Puerto Rico, and then he was later appointed to the Supreme Court of Appeals for that district. Notable people working for him. He had Nelson Rockefeller was his vice president, Henry A. Kissinger, the Secretary of State, William E. Simon, the Secretary of Treasury, and then Donald H. Rumsfeld, who was his Secretary of Defense. Family. So he had three siblings, three half-siblings, three sons and one daughter, and married Betty Ford. A fun fact was that he changed his name to his stepfather's name in honor of him, since he was really the one who raised him and not his original father, Leslie. Life after presidency. He was a public speaker as well as an author. He wrote A Time to Heal, which was basically just a book outlining the highlights of his presidency and major increases, and decreases in the economy. He's actually awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which was given to people for making large contributions to the Secretary of National Interest, world peace, as well as private endeavors. And he was well known for playing golf.